Ethan Pierce straightened his formal diplomatic uniform as he waited outside the meeting chamber on Nexus Station. The massive space station served as the primary trading hub at the edge of human-controlled space, and today, it would host what could be the most important negotiation of his career. "Are you ready?" Lisa Franklin appeared beside him, her intelligence officer insignia catching the artificial light. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, emphasizing her focused expression. "As ready as I'll ever be," Ethan replied, rolling his shoulders to release the tension. "I never thought my career would lead from marine combat to convincing alien mercenaries to fight our battles." Lisa checked her data tablet one last time. "The Venturi are the best fighting force for hire in this sector. If anyone can help protect our outer colonies from the scourge, it's them." The door to the chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, waited 3 reptilian aliens seated around a curved table. Their scales shifted between dark green and blue depending on how the light hit them. The largest one, clearly the leader, had a pattern of ridged scars across his snout. "Ambassador Pierce, Intelligence Officer Franklin," the translator device announced as the lead alien spoke in a series of clicks and hisses. "I am Krazak, commander of the Venturi mercenary clan. These are my lieutenants." Ethan and Lisa took their seats across from the aliens. Despite having dealt with numerous extraterrestrial species since humanity joined the Galactic Coalition 5 years ago, Ethan still found the Venturi intimidating. Their reputation as fearsome warriors was well earned. "Commander Krazak, thank you for agreeing to this meeting," Ethan began. "Earth faces a serious threat. The scourge attacks on our outer colonies have increased, and the Coalition refuses to commit significant forces to what they consider backwater planets." Lisa activated a holographic display showing the recent attack patterns. "In the past 3 months, we've lost contact with 4 mining outposts and 2 research stations. The scourge are moving deeper into our territory with each attack." Krazak's vertical pupils narrowed as he studied the display. "The scourge are, known to us, brutal, efficient. They leave no survivors." "Exactly why we need the best," Ethan said. "Earth's defense force is still developing our deep space combat capabilities. We need experienced fighters who know how to deal with threats like this." One of Krazak's lieutenants leaned forward. "What payment do you offer?" The translator couldn't fully convey the tone, but the directness came through clearly. Lisa tapped her tablet, sending the contract details to the Venturi devices. 3 shipments of rare earth minerals, including 2 tons of refined neodymium. Access to our latest medical regeneration technology, which we haven't even shared with the Coalition yet, and direct payment of 500,000 Coalition credits. The Venturi mercenaries exchanged glances. Even through alien facial expressions, Ethan could recognize surprise. The offer was deliberately generous, nearly double the standard rate, for operations of this scale. "This is unsubstantial," Krazak admitted. "What exactly would this operation entail?" Ethan activated his own holographic display showing a star map. "We've identified 3 likely scourge staging areas based on attack patterns. We need your forces to help us eliminate these bases and establish a defensive perimeter in this sector. Our ships will support your vessels, but we need your combat expertise." The mercenaries studied the tactical display with professional interest. For several minutes, they discussed details in their native language, pointing at various locations on the map. "Your proposal seems straightforward," Krazak finally said. "How many human ships would join this operation?" "The USS Dauntless, our newest destroyer, plus 3 frigate-class vessels and their fighter squadrons," Lisa answered. "Approximately 800 human personnel total, serving alongside your forces." Something shifted in the room. The Venturi. Lieutenant on the right made a sharp clicking sound and all 3 aliens suddenly stiffened. "Human personnel would participate in direct combat?" Krazak asked, his voice translated with a new edge. Ethan nodded. "Of course. This is our territory. We're defending. We wouldn't expect you to fight alone." The Venturi exchanged another series of clicks and hisses too rapid for the translator to catch. The mood had clearly changed, but Ethan couldn't understand why. "We require time to review this proposal in detail," Krazak said abruptly. We will study these operation parameters and deliberate. Of course, Ethan agreed, though he was confused by the sudden formality. We can reconvene tomorrow. 3 hours, interrupted Krazak. We will have our answer in 3 hours. The meeting ended with polite but tense formalities, and soon Ethan and Lisa found themselves walking back through the curved corridors of Nexus Station. What just happened in there? Ethan asked once they were alone. They seemed interested until we mentioned human forces joining the operation. Lisa frowned. I noticed that too. Let me check something. She pulled up her tablet and began searching through intelligence files. This isn't the first time I've seen that reaction from potential alien allies. 3 hours later, they returned to the meeting chamber. Krazak sat alone this time, his posture rigid. Thank you for returning, Ambassador, the Venturi commander said. After careful consideration, the Venturi clan must decline your offer. Ethan blinked in surprise. Decline? Commander Krazak, our payment offer exceeds standard rates by nearly double. If the amount is insufficient, Krazak raised a clawed hand. The payment is not the issue. The Venturi do not accept contracts where we would fight alongside human military forces. I don't understand, Lisa said, leaning forward. Is there a problem with our tactical approach, or concerns about command structure? We're open to adjustments. It is neither of those issues, Krazak replied. His scales darkened slightly, which Ethan had learned indicated serious emotion among their species. It is a matter of battlefield reputation. Battlefield reputation, Ethan repeated. Has Earth forces done something to offend the Venturi? Krazak stood, towering over the seated humans. Not offense. The Venturi respect strength, but we also value predictability in our battle allies. Humans lack this quality. He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. I wish you success, finding other assistance, Ambassador Pierce, but you will not find it among any reputable mercenary clan in this sector. With that cryptic statement, Krazak departed, leaving Ethan and Lisa stunned. What just happened? Ethan asked. I have no idea, Lisa replied, but I'm going to find out, because something tells me Krazak isn't the last mercenary who's going to turn us down. 2 days and 4 rejected contract offers later, Lisa's prediction proved accurate. Every mercenary group showed initial interest in the generous payment, only to refuse once they learned they would fight alongside human forces. In Admiral William Kelly's office aboard the Earth Embassy section of Nexus Station, Ethan delivered the bad news. So no one will take our money, the Admiral summarized, his weathered face grim. Not the Venturi, not the Pelhari, not even the Zorvan scrappers who usually accept any job. Something about humans specifically makes them unwilling to work with us, Lisa explained. Krazak mentioned battlefield reputation but wouldn't elaborate. Admiral Kelly drummed his fingers on his desk. Well, find out what the hell that means, because without mercenary support our colonies are sitting targets. Yes, sir, Ethan and Lisa responded in unison. As they left the office, Ethan turned to Lisa. So how do we solve a mystery when no one will give us a straight answer? Lisa smiled slightly. We find someone who has nothing to lose by telling us the truth, and I think I know just where to start. The dingy bar on level 7 of Nexus Station catered to the rougher element of space travelers. Smoke from various substances clouded the air, and the lighting was kept deliberately low. Ethan felt out of place in his civilian clothes, but Lisa had insisted they dress down for this meeting. Are you sure about this contact? Ethan asked, scanning the room for threats out of habit. Lisa sipped something blue and fizzy that the bartender had assured her was safe for humans. Maya Ortiz spent 6 years working with the Zorvan mercenaries before returning to human space. If anyone knows why aliens won't take our contracts, it's her. And she agreed to meet us just like that? I might have mentioned the Admiral authorized a consultation fee. Lisa checked the time on her wrist device. She should be here any minute. As if on cue, a woman appeared through the smoky haze. She had close-cropped gray hair, dark skin weathered by years in space, and moved with the easy confidence of someone who knew how to handle herself in a fight. Most notably, a jagged scar ran from her left temple down to her jaw. Franklin, the woman asked, sliding into the booth across from them. Thanks for coming, Maya, Lisa said. This is Ethan Pierce, former Marine, now working diplomatic channels. Maya's eyes narrowed. Diplomatic, huh? Looking awfully desperate if you're talking to me. Ethan leaned forward. We've been trying to hire mercenary groups to help defend our outer colonies against scourge attacks. Every single one has turned us down. Let me guess, Maya said, ordering a drink with a gesture to the bartender. They were interested until they found out humans would be fighting alongside them. Lisa and Ethan exchanged glances. How did you know? Lisa asked. Maya laughed, though there was little humor in it. Because I've been on the other side of that conversation. Mercenaries talk, you know. There's not a fighting group in 3 sectors that would take a joint combat mission with humans. Not for any amount of money. But why? Ethan asked, frustration evident in his voice. We're not inexperienced. Humanity has been fighting wars since we crawled out of the mud. Maya's drink arrived, something amber that smelled like fuel. She took a long sip before answering. Ever heard of the Battle of Proxima Centauri? Lisa nodded. First major space conflict involving Earth forces about 10 years ago. Pirate coalition tried to take one of our early colonies. That's the official version, Maya said. What most humans don't know is that battle changed how every species in the coalition views humans. Changed how? Ethan pressed. Maya glanced around before continuing in a lower voice. The pirates had the colony outgunned 5-1. By any rational assessment, the human defenders should have surrendered to save lives. But they didn't, Lisa guessed. Not only didn't they surrender, but they also fought in a way that... Maya seemed to search for the right words. Look, most spacefaring species evolved beyond certain primitive responses. They fight strategically. They retreat when odds are bad. They surrender when defeat is inevitable. And humans don't? Ethan asked. The colony defenders at Proxima had their main base breached. They were down to 36 fighters against hundreds. Their commander was dead. And you know what they did? Maya didn't wait for an answer. They split into squads of 4 and launched counterattacks from inside their own base. They rigged life support systems as weapons. When they ran out of ammunition, they used tools as weapons. Lisa's eyes widened. I've read the reports, but they don't include those details. Coalition censored most of it, Maya explained. The footage got classified. I only know because I served with 3 Zorvan who were part of the pirate coalition. They still have nightmares. Ethan frowned. So we fought hard. That should earn respect, not fear. Maya shook her head. You don't get it. It's not about fighting hard. It's about how your species disregards self-preservation. Most alien species calculate odds and act accordingly. Humans see terrible odds and something in your brains just breaks the calculator. We need more information, Lisa said decisively. Maya, can you connect us with someone who might have access to those classified records? Maya drained her glass. I might know an information broker, Kofian named Vexnar, works out of the data exchange on level 3, but his services aren't cheap. The Admiral gave us discretionary funds, Ethan said. If this Vexnar can help us understand the problem, it's worth the cost. 2 hours and a significant credit transfer later, they sat in a small, tech-filled room. Vexnar was a spindly alien, with 6 limbs and eyes that seemed to operate independently of each other. He tapped rapidly on multiple interfaces. These records have highest classification, the Kofian said, his translator giving his words a metallic quality. Coalition, Military Council restricted access after incident. What incident exactly? Lisa asked. When 3 Jurexian diplomats viewed footage and immediately withdrew their species from joint military exercises with humans, Vexnar answered, matter-of-factly. The screens lit up with security footage from Proxima Centauri. The date stamp showed it was from the final hours of the battle. Ethan and Lisa watched in silence as the events Maya described played out in stark reality. Human defenders, clearly exhausted and injured, fought with a ferocity that even Ethan found disturbing. A woman with half her face burned continued firing her weapon until she collapsed. A man used his own severed arm as a distraction before detonating explosives. A group of civilians formed a human shield around injured comrades. "Turn it off," Lisa said finally, her face pale. Vexenar complied. "Now you understand problem. Most species see this, think humans irrational, unpredictable, dangerous." "We were defending our home," Ethan said quietly. "Yes," Vexenar agreed. "That is what mercenaries fear most. You prioritize victory and protection of others over self-preservation. Mercenaries calculate risk-reward for profit. How can they calculate when humans ignore self-survival?" As they left the information broker's office, Ethan and Lisa walked in somber silence. Finally, in the privacy of a transport tube, Lisa spoke. "So that's it. They don't think we're weak. They think we're crazy," Ethan finished. "Too unpredictable, and too willing to die for a cause." "We need to speak with an expert," Lisa decided. "Someone who can help us bridge this cultural gap." "I know just the person," Ethan said. "Dr. Alan Grant at the Earth Embassy. He spent years studying how different species think about conflict and risk." Admiral Kelly reviewed their findings with a grim expression. "So mercenaries won't work with us because we fight too hard? That makes no sense." "It's not that simple, sir," Dr. Grant explained. The xenobiologist was a slender man with round glasses that gave him an owlish appearance. Most spacefaring species developed space travel only after evolving past their aggressive instincts. Humans are unusual. We reach the stars with our primitive fight responses fully intact. "So what do we do?" the Admiral asked. "Our colonies need protection now. The scourge won't wait while we evolve past our instincts." Lisa stepped forward. "Sir, I have an idea. If mercenaries won't work with us because they don't understand how we fight, perhaps we need to show them." "Show them?" Ethan asked. "A demonstration," Lisa clarified. "Controlled conditions where they can observe human tactics without feeling threatened." "Like a training exercise," the Admiral mused. "It could work. And I think I know which mercenary group to approach first," Ethan added. Krazak mentioned his son Drazkar as a rising warrior in their clan, young enough to be curious rather than set in his ways. The Admiral nodded. "Make it happen, but be careful. If this backfires, we could make our reputation even worse." As they left the Admiral's office, Ethan caught Lisa's arm. "Do you really think this will work?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But one thing's clear. We need to stop trying to hide what we are. If aliens fear humans because of how we fight, maybe it's time to show them exactly what that means." The viewing deck of the mercenary vessel hung in space at what the captain assured was a safe distance. Through the reinforced viewport, Ethan could see the asteroid field where the demonstration would take place. Beside him stood 6 representatives from different mercenary groups, including Drazkar, the son of Krazak. "Thank you all for accepting our invitation," Ethan said formally. "What you're about to witness is a standard human training exercise against simulated scourge tactics." Lisa stepped forward with a data tablet. "We've programmed drone ships to mimic scourge attack patterns based on our encounters. The USS Relentless will demonstrate our defensive capabilities." Drazkar's scales rippled with what Ethan had learned, with skepticism. "These are merely simulations, not actual combat?" "Correct," Lisa confirmed. "Though Captain Howard and his crew will treat it as real combat conditions." A blue-skinned alien with 4 arms crossed the upper set. "What exactly do you hope to prove with this performance?" "Not a performance," Ethan corrected. "An opportunity for transparency. You've all rejected contracts to fight alongside humans. We believe this comes from misunderstanding how we operate." Maya Ortiz, who had agreed to help with the demonstration, spoke up from her position by the door. "You've all seen the classified footage. Now see how humans fight when they're not backed into a corner." Lisa activated the comm system. "Captain Howard, we're ready when you are." The sleek form of the USS Relentless moved into view, its engines glowing softly against the darkness of space. Around it flew a squadron of 12 smaller fighter craft. Beginning simulation in 3, 2, 1, Howard's voice came over the speakers. From behind several larger asteroids, drone ships painted in scourge colors emerged. They moved in the erratic, unpredictable patterns that had made the scourge so deadly in real encounters. The alien observers watched intently, as the human ships engaged the drones. Rather than meeting the attack head-on, the Relentless held position, while the fighters spread out in pairs, creating a defensive screen. "Notice the formation," Lisa explained. "Humans prefer coordinated group tactics over individual heroics." One of the aliens, a cyborg mercenary leader named Telex, made a dismissive noise. "Basic defensive strategy. Nothing impressive yet." As if on cue, 3 larger drone ships appeared, targeting the Relentless directly. Instead of evasive maneuvers, the destroyer turned to face the threat, its weapon systems targeting the lead attacker. "They're not retreating," Drazikar observed, leaning forward. "Watch," Maya said softly. The fighter pairs suddenly broke formation, each executing a different attack pattern. Some drew fire away from the destroyer, while others made precision strikes against the drone's weapon systems. Ethan smiled as he saw the aliens' reactions. The coordination between the human ships was impressive even to him, and he'd seen similar exercises before. Then everything changed. The ship's sensors blared. An alarm. Captain Howard's voice came through, tension evident even through the comm system. "Control, we have actual contacts. Repeat, actual Scourge scouts have entered the area. This is not part of the simulation." Ethan and Lisa exchanged alarmed glances. The mercenary representative stirred uneasily. "Should we abort?" Lisa asked quickly. "Negative," Howard replied. "If we break off now, they'll follow us right to your position. We'll handle this." On the viewport display, they could see 3 actual Scourge vessels entering the exercise zone. Unlike the painted drones, these ships bristled with the distinctive organic-looking weapons that made the Scourge so feared. "Your demonstration has attracted unwanted attention," Telex observed, coldly. "Control, be advised we are engaging hostile forces," Howard announced. "Recommend you prepare for emergency departure." The alien observers watched as the human ships smoothly transitioned from exercise to actual combat. The fighter squadron regrouped into attack formation, while the Relentless positioned itself between the Scourge ships and the observation vessel. "They're protecting us," Drazikar said, surprise evident in his voice. "Of course they are," Maya replied. "That's what I've been trying to tell you all." The battle unfolded with brutal efficiency. 2 Scourge ships focused their attack on the Ios Relentless, while the third broke off toward the observation vessel. 3 human fighters immediately pursued the third ship, intercepting it before it could get close. Captain Howard could retreat, Ethan explained to the silent observers. His mission was only to demonstrate tactics, not engage in actual combat, but he won't leave you exposed. One of the fighters took a direct hit, spinning out of control before the pilot stabilized it. Despite obvious damage, the craft continued pursuing the Scourge vessel. "The pilot should eject," muttered one of the alien observers. "That ship is critically damaged." "Watch," Maya said again. The damaged fighter positioned itself directly in the path of the Scourge vessel, forcing it to alter course. This gave the other 2 fighters clear shots at its engines. The Scourge ship erupted in flames before drifting, dead in space. Meanwhile, the Relentless had disabled one of its attackers and was engaged with the second. A blast hit the destroyer's port side, causing visible damage. "Howard, this is Pierce. Break off engagement. We can evacuate the observers." "Negative," Howard responded calmly. "We've got this under control." As they watched, a team in spacesuits emerged from the Relentless, moving to repair the damaged section even as the battle continued around them. "They're performing repairs during active combat?" Drazikar asked incredulously. "Standard procedure," Lisa said. "We don't abandon ship unless absolutely necessary." The remaining Scourge vessel, seeing its companions defeated, attempted to retreat. The human fighters pursued just long enough to ensure it was truly leaving before returning to defensive positions. "All clear, Control," Howard reported. "Scourge forces neutralized or retreated. We have 4 injured crew, none critical." The observation deck remained silent as the observers processed what they had just witnessed. Finally, Telex spoke. "I begin to understand the problem," the cyborg said. "It is not that you fight poorly. It is that you do not fight rationally, by mercenary standards." "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. "Mercenaries fight for profit," Telex explained. "We calculate acceptable losses against payment, what you just showed us." protecting this vessel at risk to yourselves, repairing damage during combat, continuing to fight with damaged ships. These actions defy risk assessment. Drazkar nodded slowly. We feared working with humans not because we think you weak, but because we believed you would expect us to match your commitment level. Exactly, agreed another alien observer. No mercenary group could satisfy human combat expectations without suffering unacceptable losses. Our profits would be meaningless if we did not survive to spend them. As the observation vessel returned to Nexus Station, Ethan, Lisa, and Maya gathered in a private room to discuss what they had learned. So the problem isn't that they think we're bad fighters, Ethan summarized. It's that they think we're too extreme. And they fear we would judge them for not matching our intensity, Lisa added. Maya nodded. Mercenaries have a different relationship with risk than military forces. They're professionals who expect to fight many battles over a long career. Then we've been approaching this all wrong, Ethan realized. We need to stop trying to hire them as contractors and start thinking about real alliances, partnerships, where each side brings different strengths. And clearly define expectations, Lisa agreed. We need to show them we understand and respect their combat philosophy. Ethan pulled out his comm device. I need to speak with Admiral Kelly immediately. I think I know how we can finally get the help our colonies need. The main conference room at Earth's military headquarters in Geneva buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed star charts, battle plans, and communication feeds from multiple colonies. Admiral Kelly stood at the head of the table, reviewing the proposal Ethan and Lisa had prepared. So instead of hiring mercenaries as contractors, you want to form battle-bonded alliances? The Admiral's tone was skeptical but not dismissive. Yes, sir, Ethan confirmed. After observing the demonstration, the mercenary representatives made it clear that our different combat philosophies are the main obstacle. Lisa stepped forward, highlighting sections of their proposal on the main display. Traditional mercenary contracts don't account for these differences. They expect to be paid for specific objectives with acceptable risk levels. Our approach to combat is outside their comfort zone. General Samantha Duncan, who commanded Earth's expeditionary forces, leaned forward with interest. And you believe reframing the relationship will help? The key is acknowledging our differences as strengths, Ethan explained. We're not asking them to fight like humans, and we won't fight like mercenaries. Instead, we can complement each other. Maya Ortiz, who had been invited to the meeting based on her experience with alien mercenaries, nodded in agreement. Mercenary. Groups value clarity above all. They need to know exactly what's expected of them and what risks they're taking. Admiral Kelly studied the proposal for a long moment. It's unorthodox, but given our failure to secure conventional contracts, I'm willing to try. Who do you recommend approaching first? The Venturi, Ethan said without hesitation. Drazkar was the most engaged during the demonstration. I believe he can convince his father to consider an alliance rather than a contract. Make it happen, Admiral Kelly ordered. General Duncan will work with you on the military aspects and get Ambassador Morgan involved. We'll need diplomatic finesse to make this work. 3 days later, Ethan and Lisa stood in the docking bay of Nexus Station, waiting as the Venturi clan ship connected to the airlock. Unlike their previous meeting, this time they wore formal military dress uniforms with full honors. Do you think they'll even listen? Lisa asked quietly. Drazkar sent the invitation himself, Ethan replied. That's a good sign. The airlock cycled open, revealing Krazak and his son Drazkar, along with 4 Venturi warriors. Ethan noticed that both father and son wore what appeared to be ceremonial armor rather than practical combat gear, their version of formal dress. Commander Krazak, thank you for agreeing to meet again, Ethan said with a formal bow. And Drazkar, we appreciate your support in arranging this discussion. The demonstration was educational, Krazak replied carefully. My son believes there may be merit in further conversation. They proceeded to a conference room where General Duncan and Ambassador Morgan waited. The meeting began with formal introductions, followed by a shared meal specially prepared to accommodate both species' dietary needs, a traditional diplomatic gesture. As they ate, Ambassador Morgan skillfully guided the conversation toward cultural exchange rather than business negotiations. He asked about Vanturi battle traditions and shared stories of human military history. When the meal concluded, Ethan activated a holographic display showing a new type of agreement. Commander Krazak, we recognize that our previous approach was flawed. We tried to hire your warriors as if they were simply tools for our purposes. That is the nature of mercenary work, Krazak said, though his tone suggested he appreciated the acknowledgement. Perhaps, Lisa continued, but it failed to account for our fundamental differences. What we propose instead is a battle bond alliance, with clearly defined roles that respect our different combat philosophies. Drazkar leaned forward with interest. Explain these roles. General Duncan took over, highlighting different sections of the battle plan. The Vanturi excel at strategic operations, precise strikes, and tactical flexibility. Humans are well suited for defensive positions, holding ground, and protective actions. We're not asking your warriors to fight like humans, Ethan emphasized. In fact, we're specifically requesting that you fight according to your own traditions and expertise. Krazak's scale shifted in a pattern that suggested thoughtful consideration. You would not expect Vanturi to engage in, what did you call it? Last stands, Lisa supplied. No. We understand that would be contrary to your combat doctrine. Ambassador, Morgan added, this alliance acknowledges our differences rather than trying to erase them. We believe our species can be more effective together than apart, precisely because we approach battle differently. Krazak and Drazkar conferred quietly in their language before the elder Vanturi spoke. The concept has merit, but trust must be established. Words alone cannot forge a battle bond. We agree, Ethan said quickly. That's why we propose a limited joint operation against a known scourge outpost. Small forces from both sides, working together under the terms we've discussed. Drazkar turned to his father. I volunteer to lead our contingent in this operation. I witnessed the humans in battle. I believe this arrangement could work. For the first time, Krazak's expression showed something close to approval. Very well. We will consider this battle bond alliance beginning with a trial operation. The meeting continued for several hours as they worked through the specific details of the operation. Unlike the previous contract negotiation, this discussion focused on mutual understanding and respect rather than payment terms. When they eventually returned to financial matters, Ethan was surprised by Krazak's response. The payment offered in your original contract was excessive, the Vanturi commander stated. In a battle bond alliance, compensation should reflect true value, not desperation. We're willing to pay what your expertise is worth, General Duncan assured him. And we value honesty above credits, Krazak replied. A battle bond based on respect will serve both our interest better than one built on fear and confusion. As the meeting concluded, Drazkar approached Ethan privately. The demonstration changed my perspective on humans. When your ships protected our observation vessel at risk to themselves. This is not how mercenaries think. How do humans think in your view? Ethan asked curiously. Drazkar considered the question. Humans fight as if every battle could be your last, yet you plan as if you will fight 1,000 more. It is contradictory but effective. When Ethan reported back to Admiral Kelly later that day, the news was better than anyone had expected. The Vanturi have agreed to a joint operation against the Scourge outpost in the Tau Ceti system, Ethan announced. Drazkar will command their forces, working alongside Commander Nicole Bennett. That's the first good news we've had in weeks, the Admiral said with evident relief. If this works, could it open doors with other mercenary groups? Lisa nodded, confidently. Word travels fast among mercenaries. If this operation succeeds, others will take notice. And if it fails? The Admiral asked. Then at least we tried something new, Ethan replied. But I don't think it will fail. For the first time, we're not asking aliens to be human or humans to be something they're not. We're finding strength in our differences. As preparations for the joint operation began, news spread quickly through mercenary networks about the unusual human-Venturi alliance. Some dismissed it as doomed to failure. Others watched with cautious interest. But all agreed on one thing. This was something new in the galaxy, and everyone would be watching closely. The Scourge outpost orbited a dead moon in the Tau Ceti system, its twisted organic-looking structures blending with the metal of stolen ships. From the observation deck of the human command vessel, Ethan and Lisa watched as the joint fleet prepared for the operation. "How are the commanders getting along?" Admiral Kelly asked over the secure communication line from Earth. "Better than expected," Ethan replied. "Commander Bennett and Drazkar have established clear communication protocols. Each side understands their role. The combined fleet consisted of 3 human vessels, including the repaired USS Relentless, and 4 Venturi ships of various sizes. They had spent 5 days planning the operation, with each side contributing their expertise. "The Venturi battle strategy is fascinating," Lisa admitted. "They approach combat almost like a mathematical equation, calculating every possible outcome before acting." On the tactical display, the ships moved into their starting positions. The human vessels formed a defensive line while the more agile Venturi craft prepared for the first strike. Commander Nicole Bennett's voice came over the comm system. "All ships in position. Ready for Phase 1 on your mark, Drazkar." "Acknowledged, Commander Bennett," the young Venturi leader replied. "Beginning approach in 3 standard minutes." Ethan noticed how both commanders maintained formal, professional tones. Neither side was trying to impress the other with bravado or unnecessary risks, exactly as they had planned. "First test of our battle bond," Lisa murmured. The operation began precisely on schedule. 2 Venturi scout ships moved toward the Scourge outpost using a complex evasion pattern that made them nearly impossible to track. When the Scourge defense systems activated, targeting the scouts, the main Venturi vessel launched a precision strike against the enemy weapons. "Human vessels, defensive formation Delta," Commander Bennett ordered as several Scourge ships detached from the outpost to pursue the Venturi scouts. The USS Relentless and its support ships moved to intercept the pursuers, creating a buffer zone that allowed the Venturi to continue their attack runs without having to worry about defense. "It's working," Ethan said, unable to hide his excitement, each side doing what they do best. Then came the first complication. A previously undetected Scourge vessel emerged from behind the moon, larger than any they had faced before. It moved directly toward the human ships, ignoring the Venturi attackers. "New contact," Bennett called out. "All ships, adjust to threat pattern echo." The human vessels shifted formation to face the new threat while maintaining their protective screen. On the command channel, Drazkar's voice carried a note of concern. "Commander Bennett, that vessel outguns your ships significantly. The logical response would be to withdraw and regroup." There was a brief pause before Bennett replied. "Negative, Drazkar. If we withdraw, it will pursue and catch at least one of our ships. We'll hold position." Ethan and Lisa exchanged worried glances. This was exactly the kind of scenario they had hoped to avoid, where human determination might clash with Venturi tactical calculation. To their surprise, Drazkar responded, "Understood. Adjusting attack plan. Stand firm for 2 minutes while we reposition." On the tactical display, the Venturi ships suddenly abandoned their careful attack runs and regrouped. With remarkable speed, the main Venturi vessel moved to support the human defensive line, while the smaller craft executed a complex maneuver behind the large Scourge ship. "They're adapting to our approach," Lisa realized. "Not fighting like humans, but accommodating our style." The next few minutes were tense as the human ships absorbed heavy fire from the large Scourge vessel. The USS Relentless took significant damage to its outer hull, but maintained position. Then, precisely 2 minutes after Drazkar's request, the Venturi ships launched a coordinated attack on the Scourge vessel's engines from multiple angles. "Now, Commander Bennett," Drazkar called. The human ships immediately launched a frontal assault, their weapons focusing on the weakened sections identified by Venturi scans. Caught between the 2 attack styles, the large Scourge ship faltered, its weapon systems failing under the combined pressure. "Continuing to primary objective," Bennett announced once the immediate threat was neutralized. The operation proceeded, with impressive efficiency. The human ships maintained a defensive perimeter, while the Venturi craft executed precision strikes against key points in the Scourge outpost. When a section of the human line came under heavy fire, a Venturi vessel moved to provide support without being asked. When a Venturi scout took damage, a human fighter squadron created a safe corridor for its retreat. From the observation deck, Ethan watched with growing satisfaction. They're not just following the plan, they're genuinely working together. Different approaches, complementary strengths, Lisa agreed. 3 hours later, the Scourge outpost was disabled, its remaining ships scattered. The joint fleet regrouped, assessing damage and treating casualties. To everyone's surprise, losses were minimal, far below what either side had calculated for an operation of this scale. In the post-mission briefing aboard the human command vessel, Commander Bennett and Drazkar stood side by side, reviewing the battle recordings. Your ships held that line longer than we believed possible, Drazkar admitted. Our tactical calculations suggested you would need to withdraw. Bennett smiled slightly. And your attack runs were more precise than any human pilot could have managed. You hit targets we couldn't even see properly. Admiral Kelly's holographic image appeared in the briefing room. Congratulations to both commands. The operation was a complete success. The Scourge have been denied a foothold in the Tau Ceti system. The battle bond proved effective. Krazak's image appeared beside the admiral's. The elder Venturi looked pleased in his restrained way. Perhaps there is merit in this alliance concept. Over the next few weeks, news of the successful joint operation spread throughout coalition space. Other mercenary groups began approaching Earth representatives, curious about this new form of cooperation. Some initially came simply seeking information, but several departed with preliminary alliance discussions underway. In the Earth Embassy on Nexus Station, Ethan found himself in a familiar meeting room, but under very different circumstances. Across from him sat Telex, the cyborg mercenary leader who had observed the demonstration. I understand you seek a battle bond alliance, not a standard contract, Telex stated. That's correct, Ethan confirmed. We believe it serves both our interests better. The Venturi speak highly of the arrangement, Telex noted. This is unusual, they rarely praise anyone. Lisa smiled. We've found that respecting our differences creates better outcomes than trying to force either side to change their approach. At Coalition headquarters, High Commander Vossitaran, who had previously dismissed human military capabilities, formally acknowledged Earth's contribution to regional security. The successful operation against the Scourge had earned humanity new respect in Coalition circles. Back on Earth, Ethan stood beside Admiral Kelly as they welcomed a delegation from yet another mercenary group interested in forming an alliance. Who would have thought, the Admiral mused, that our biggest obstacle wasn't our fighting ability but how others perceived it? It turns out, Ethan replied, that sometimes the best way to solve a problem isn't to throw more money at it, but to actually listen and understand why it exists in the first place. Across the galaxy, a new saying began circulating among mercenary bands. For the right price, we'll fight against anything, except alongside humans. Unless they're your allies, then you're the luckiest fighters in the galaxy.